Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and today we're gonna talk about drawing mechs or robots. All right, I like drawing those. I always love things like Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam, or Neo Genesis Evangelion. Just anything with mechs is always cool. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to start um, by just simply talking about the two types. All right, so you have your they're always futuristic looking, but you can make them look like they're worn out. But there are two types. There's the more rounded, smooth, streamlined ones, and then you have your blocky, boxed out ones almost, where it's kind of like a mixture of the two. So we're just gonna start with like a rounded one. So the things I like to think about is like the body structure. Like, what do I want them to look like, right? So we're going to go with a basic egg shape. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out and we're going to just kind of give it like an egg shape. So we're just going to start with our building blocks, right? So maybe I want like a huge central eye for scanning and stuff. We'll put that right here. You round that out just a little bit more. And just like what we did with like the stick figures, we're just going to kind of start building out the basic building blocks. So when it comes to mechs, you kind of have to think about it like how robots are built into parts. So like things like this with the shoulder, I just simply draw in a shoulder shape, and then we could go way down and make like a huge forearm. And then you have to start thinking about, and a good way to do this is like look up, robot designs and stuff like that, and you can see how we would have different pieces placed where. So, like for instance, with this, I'm gonna extend this out somewhere. So I want this to kind of overlap. So think of it like almost like a guard. That kind of places over the top of like the hand guard. So again, we can just kind of bring out the shapes. So like these are two separate pieces on here. All right. And then we'll say it's connected by a piece here, going underneath that armor. Okay, same thing here. I'm probably actually going to bring this out some more. And we'll readjust some things. But I want to kind of lay in these different foundational pieces that'll kind of help us. So like here in the shoulder, right, I could easily extend that back and we could have like an opening because we need space for the arm to actually rotate around. So you have to kind of think of it like Lego pieces almost, like where to put certain pieces at in order to make sure that we have separation that makes sense. So it's not just like fitting anywhere that it wants to. There's a purpose to each design, but at the same time you can have that freedom to kind of just put in whatever looks cool as well. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of take this up because I want to copy that same shape. It's just foreshortened because of the angle. It's just kind of turned to a different side. Okay, and then with that we can have another kind of assembled piece down here. And you can see I'm just kind of sketching everything out too. I'm not going with any final lines. We can get rid of some of that sketchiness just so we can see it better. Okay, so like now that I've adjusted some stuff, I definitely don't want that eyepiece there. Okay, so I have those parts built out here, and with this turned out this way, I want to kind of give it like a ridge line right here, and then I can come in. So we want to get the eye as close as possible. Now again, this, when you're drawing with me or and you want to make any adjustments to it, that's fine. If you don't like what I'm doing with like having this big eye on the front, maybe you just want it to have a big glass dome. That works too. You can always be as creative as you want when you're following these videos, and that's part of the fun. Okay, so we want kind of the same thing. We have this kind of opening here, so I want to make sure that I kind of connect that, and then we want to have some of the shoulders showing on this side, so we're going to bring that piece down. Right, and then we want to start like our forearm shape. So the key to this is really knowing what the shapes look like. So just knowing that from this angle I'm going to get different things showing. So like I want it to kind of be the same length, right? And then I want to still have that same structure set up for like the hand guard and things like that. Okay, but the difference being on this side, we're going to actually be able to see more of the inside track of our robotics that are going on inside the arm. So things like the understructure that go into play. We want to make sure we include those in there. So we're kind of going with kind of like this spring look, almost like a fiber, right? And that starts to come down underneath so that I can get a good palm shape almost. So let's see, we'll go from here. And we'll get our palm shape right in there. And then maybe he's got like a pulse blaster of some kind down in there. And we can kind of start shaping the fingers. So I'm going to work in a thumb here. And you can just basically use like, think of it like a skeletal breakdown, right? Because it's a robot or a mech, so we can actually build out our finger shapes and things the same way we would do a skeleton. I'm just putting like these little ridges on here. Right? And then we would have parts of the under part of the shield or the protection from the guard. We would have that visible as well. And then we can just draw out, you know, the fingers and things. But I'm going to come back here just so I can keep things even and don't start getting in the way of other things that I want to draw. So we can come in here and do our central hip or core of the piece and just have that wrap around, and maybe that's connected by another band structure of this kind of like fibrous material to kind of signify the hip. And we bring that around to the front. So think of it just like when we're drawing our human skeletons. We're coming in here and just breaking the anatomy down. So like I'm just using kind of like that underwear shape here. To draw the things that I need. Okay. So again, just based off of what we're seeing, I know I'm going to want like a little bit of a thigh guard here, but now obviously my hand is going to be blocking a lot of that. We probably want like a rotator here. And then I can do things like go ahead and build out the thumb that's going to be here. Alright, so that can be that there, and then I can go ahead and get those little lines in there. So that would be my thumb. Okay, and then you'd have your other fingers as well, and remember this is your design, so you could, like what I'm gonna do, I'm only gonna make it to where it has 3 fingers. Okay, so 3 fingers kind of grip the ground, almost like a hulking model. It's not, tiny hands. They have very large hands. And so then that would take me down into here. And because I have my rotator back here, maybe my leg goes back and bends forward. And I can just simply draw my feet out for my robot. And then we can come to the other side and start working on the same thing. But first thing I want to do is I want to kind of give this ridge edge to it. And the reasoning for that is so I can come and get my different finger lines in there. Okay. Now, next thing, I want to kind of come in and get that same ridgeline shape, and then I want that hip or leg to come off right here. And again, we're going to kind of get blocked by our hand just because of how I'm designing it, but you can position them however you want. So we can just take that out. And then kind of have like a knee guard here because we're kind of blocked off. So for our initial, we get that same rotator in there. And since we can see more of this side, we can think about how the different pistons and devices would work. Also as to what they would connect to, right? So there's got to be, with the way that this rotates with the leg, there's going to be a circular rotational device of some kind that these parts are connecting into. Put a small circle right in there just to give it a little bit more. Right, and then we can come down into the foot. I want to kind of give it a good, put another ankle rotator down here. I still want to give it kind of a good, decent foot guard. So let's take it down at an angle this way and have that come back out. And have the guard come out here. Bring that down into the foot right there. Okay, we can come out, make that a little wider. Make another foot guard there. And have our foot come out that way. Again, we can make these little rotator cable lines. And then that just leaves us with our fingers on this side. So again, I can simply just draw out the structural shape of it. Bring that back. Have my finger set up there. And we can have another one come out that way, right? So we have a nice sound structural shape to our design here. So now I can start thinking about little things like, oh, okay, I want this to come out a little bit wider on the top. So this is where we can start adding in our details. I'm just kind of cleaning up the sketchiness just so it's nice and solid in there. And then we can bring that down and kind of separating pieces just to make it stand out more, aesthetically. If you want different things to be in there just because you want it to look cool that way. Not every single thing has to have a purpose. Now, if you're designing for a video game, that's different. I would definitely have a purpose to everything that you're drawing. Tell a story with it. But for the purpose of just making up a good mech and going with it, this is well enough. It'll suffice. Right? So I want to keep this edge here and have that rotate down. So I'm just going to refine that. Again, just kind of clean up inside of it just so it stands out some more. So this is that refinement stage. Now we could add you know, a little bit more to it just to make it stand out. We could give it a nice like upper head piece to give it more of a head form. Again, just giving us different points of separation for these things. So we have that connected and cleaned up, and then what I would want to do is kind of give that an edge for separation by dropping down the corners and simply just tracing back over what I got. Now if you can draw smaller, that's cool. Me, I have to draw big. That's just me. But you know, as long as you get it how you need it, you're good to go. So let's go ahead and let's get this eye right in here. So I'm going to clean up around that. And just remember, good art takes time. So, you know, and I hope some of y'all are having the patience enough to stick around and actually follow along and go step by step. And maybe you can actually learn and see how the process works for you. You know, define your own method of doing things through just some of the steps that I'm showing you. Okay, so I'm just again just going through and refining my work in there. Okay, so we can again think about different things. How can we make this look more mechanical? We can add in different points on here. Like me, now that I'm seeing what that looks like, probably going to extend that back. Just have that rotate all the way through right there. And we'll kind of thicken up this line here to kind of show a ridge development, and just kind of clean up around those areas. Okay, so again, during the process of you just kind of creating whatever, be creative with it. Don't get held back by what it looks like. Always, always, always finish a project. Like there are things I could easily go back and change on this to make it better, but I'm not going to sit here and stress and spend 5 hours on one line trying to get it exactly what I want it to look like. Okay, so let's draw another circle inside of here, as we want our eye to look a little robotic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, we're going to make a small circle, right? Work our way out and try to make the inside of the eye a tiny bit more mechanical in nature, so we can kind of put these lines through here. And what that'll do is just give it more of a mechanical look. So we have that in there. You know, I could come in just so we have some more details here. Like I can come out and around, put these little like tiny edges and with these little gaps in between, kind of make it look like it has a different edge shape to it. And again, make that eye stand out just a little bit more. Okay, now you could choose to come in here and be more detailed with your shoulder pieces. Like this would have to rotate around something, so we can get like a little rotator mechanism in here. We could also come in and expand upon it even further. And then we can just darken up that edge. Just so we have some clarity on what it is that's going on inside. Okay. So again, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to define that shoulder shape. I also want to make sure that I still have the same pattern that I'm doing on the other side. Right? So I'm keeping things even as I work around. I can start going through and hitting these other areas. And again, just go in and clean up your sketchy lines and make it look nice. And just take that time to do that little extra bit. To just clean it up. Okay? So I'm just refining these areas in here. Definitely going to go in and refine that, make that stand out. And again, just kind of clean up as you go. But remember, you got to have the patience for this. You got to have the patience for the time and the effort that goes in to making these, right? So, I mean, we spent almost about 30 minutes on this, and we're starting to get something that's pretty decent looking. Okay, so I'm going to go around. I'm going to start defining my arm guard armor pieces here for my mech. And again, this is going to lean more towards a smooth design for what we have. Okay, so again, I'm just going to kind of add in some structural pieces just to make it, you know, kind of stand out a little bit more and have those differences on there. Maybe like right inside of here. I don't know, we'll say it's a futuristic alien society. So we'll come in here and draw like a symbol on the arm just to make it, you know, look like it's industrialized. Definitely, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to add these little lines. Go back this way. Okay. Then I'm going to go down and get the rest of my hand guard. Right here, again, finding different areas that I can utilize to make some cut-ins just to make it stand out as more of a machine. Okay, so we're going to come in and start refining these lines here. Okay, again, I want to come out, get my hand guard, and go that way. Now I'm sending that a little bit higher just so we can get that more of that roundness to it. But again, I want to make sure that I'm keeping that same kind of pattern piece going on each part that I do, whether it's on the side I can see all of it or not. It'll make it seem more cohesive and together for your final product, right? So even like down in here, I have my rotated part, and then I wouldn't see that other part, so I can just leave that open. Again, this is kind of like a pulse area. Maybe he's like a torch cutting robot. Maybe they use him to kind of dig through different things. I mean, you can just tell your own story with this stuff. I'm going to come down and refine these fingers real quick. Make sure those stand out nice and clear. Okay. So you can see our piece starting to come together. Now, I know this area probably looks a little lighter. It's actually not. If you look at the thumbnail, it's darker. It's just I'm still trying to figure out this whole lighting thing for YouTube. What would be the best setup so everything looks nice and soft and even. So I'm kind of going with what I got on that right now. Again, we got a rotator in there, so I'm going to have to leave that circle on there. Okay, I got my rod connectors here that are kind of working like ligaments. I'm just filling that in black because that's the ridge line that it's connecting into. So right now I'm just going in and just refining and cleaning as I go. Okay, so once those are in there, got my foot guards like that. Then I can come down here and really refine and define these fingers. Remember, if we got a rotator in there, we need to put a circle. Okay. So let's get this other finger. Kind of show that separation there. Then finish off their foot. It's more of a streamline design, right? It's now part of like more of a advanced tech you know, streamlined designs to make it stand out, you know, look fancy. I almost think of it like kind of like when they come out with these new cars. They're a lot more rounded now, trying to look futuristic tech. And that's just an example of, you know, this specific type of mech, right? So now I'm just doing my usual little trademark thing where I just kind of, I shouldn't say trademark because lots of other people do it, but the thing that I like to do, at least when I'm drawing in my sketchbook, is I like to thicken up the outside lines. And that's just the outside. I'm not going to do it anywhere else. But I just do that so it stands out and pops a little bit more. Okay. So something else you could think about doing with your design is like, you know, obviously what is the color of the coating or armor that is on this mech. As well as the inner parts, the skeletal structure. right? And if you want that to kind of stand out more in your design, after you're done making it pop off the page like this, you could go back and show more separation without getting too detailed, with just some light shading on certain parts, right? So anything that would be like a black color, like I could come in here and just lightly shade those in, like down here on the fingers. I just want those black parts, or silver, or whatever you're gonna come up with. You could color this when you're done if you wanted to. What I want to do to get those to stand out more, to show that separation, you could just do something as simple as this to fill that in. And you can see how that's starting to show that separation. And that difference. Whereas the rest of it could just be whatever color you chose. It could be purple, yellow, black, pink. It's up to you. Whatever design process you were going for, fitting in whatever world you're trying to give it. But just something like that, can kind of help make it stand out. Go ahead and sign that one. And then what we'll do is we're going to go in now and do more of a boxy mech, one that's got more of a hard surface, rough feel to it. And we're going to get to that. I'm just going to slide my sketchbook over and we'll get ready to start drawing that, all right? Okay, so let's just slide this over so that we can get us another good like blocky mix in here. Okay, so it's the same premise, right? You want to come in and you want to kind of have your shapes first, right? So let's kind of come in and we're going to kind of streamline and shape at the same time, right? So it's almost like I'm making a rectangular box type shape, but at the same time I'm trying to give it purpose and function, right? So this will be like a centerpiece. We're gonna make this like a four-legged kind of drone walker type thing. So I'm using the same basic, I guess say same basic steps to set everything up. Just trying to get that even. Let's actually bring that down like this. So it could be kind of like a front bracing guard. Try to even that out some more. Okay, so like that'll be the central foundation of my body, right? And then I can start building up things like the head, because our drone's got to be able to see where it's going. So let's kind of angle this down. So we use more angles and line work when it comes to making these kind of blocky mechs. So you can have way more of a hard surface type look to it. Okay, some like little things here. I can now bring that down. Right, and then we can just angle that back. Take that down into there. And then we want to connect these at the right points. Make sure that we keep those correct. Now this back angle, don't want to go too crazy with because we shouldn't see that much of it. Right, so that's going to be my headpiece. We're going to take, let's see, we got this from the front. We're going to do a split to give a little raise to the head. And then just simply have that go back. And take that down into there with the head there. Okay. So with that down, we definitely need a piece for the neck to rotate on. Okay, so we can kind of take that out. And let's shorten this up just to make it a little bit thicker. Okay, and then we can draw in some eyes here, but we're going to do more of like a multiple camera look on that. And then here we could have, just for aesthetic purposes, we could have like a line here for a light that just kind of glows on the top. Okay. Now again, I want to come down here and start working in legs, so I'm going to start with a circle kind of shape right here for my leg piece to connect to, because it's going to go into a rounded rotator cuff like a shoulder would. Okay, so I'm going to start bringing out my little drone dog legs kind of thing. Right, so I'm still trying to keep it kind of blocky. And we can make it a little bit more of like a rundown, like kind of put together machine. Not something that's been, you know, skillfully placed together. Take that down. Line that out. And then we could put like another connection here. just to show how the machine is connected together. Alright, so like down in here, I would need like another rotator piece to allow for the leg to move like it should. So I could put like another bolt right in here, right? We could give that a tiny bit of an edge like that. So that's one leg coming out, and then coming up, we want to kind of go like a spider drone. Want to kind of have a connection piece like that. Okay. And then what I would do is just kind of like break out the shapes and have that go down. And I'm just splitting it so I can see where it goes from there. So we're going to run this a little bit higher. Take that up and just give it kind of like a shield leg, you know, so that if it wanted to like ball up and curl up itself, it could easily guard or protect itself. Okay, we could get ridiculous on this one and get a little bit more stylized. And again, just kind of give it like a bolt shape here. And then here on the edge. Kind of do the same thing. Just take that out. Let's kind of go the opposite angle with this bolt. But that's just screwed in right there on the side. We should just as easily be able to see an edge. For that. So we can extend that down right into there. Okay, so that's like one leg, right? We want to get both legs to go in there, but we want to make it seem like it is walking forward. So I'm going to do that same leg kind of shield piece. And just have that come down this way. And then again, I can just as easily split it down the middle, clean up the inside, and just have it facing that angle. I can come in here and get my little bolt shapes, and they don't have to be the same, right? You can completely change how the bolts are screwed in. Okay, so I can come back, go up, right, and that puts my leg in there. But then what am I going to be able to see, right? We have to think about positioning. What am I going to see when it comes off? So I know I want that same circular shape here, right? But, you know, I'm only going to see parts of my leg down here, right? So I'm only going to see pieces of the hole. So I get my bolt down in there and rotate that back, right? And then that simply just goes up into it. So I wouldn't see the rest of it. So like I can go ahead and we can refine that line down. And then, you know, what would I be able to see on the other side of it? Okay, so like I wouldn't see too much coming from the other side, but I can see the leg start to extend, right, and get that same bolt shape right there in the leg, and have that going up into its piston place, right, and then we can take that up. So this is what we're seeing is the opposite here, where everything's more rounded and smooth. We're going for more of a boxy, sharp-edged look with our drawing. Right, so I can come up and bring that out. And then again, I have that metallic ridge line right there. We can do the same here. Give it kind of an edge. And like that. And we can come out. Give it some bolt lines. A little bit of an edge there. And a bolt there. Like that. Okay. So now that I have my legs established, right, I can start doing things like here. You know, maybe we want more of a bulkier end on the back side. So I can simply just change that to go that way. Right, we can still have this come back. Let's maybe extend the back end a little. So we can refine that. Right, so it's a separate section, a separate piece. You know, maybe you have a couple more screw bolt ends on each part, as well as some separation pieces to just kind of give it you know, the look like it's been assembled together, right? So we're just really kind of splitting it up. Maybe down in here we have these big bolt screws going around the neck. Like that. And then we can kind of thicken up this edge to give the illusion that the neck is down into that section. And then I'm just going to go and refine this edge here with the back of the head. Now I'm not going to change too much to the head part of the drone because it's already, if you look at it, it's already technically set up into different panels for us. So like I could simply just come in here and add these little bolts in. For the paneling. I think I made that one a little bit too big. I can just put those individual bolts in there down here, corners of each piece. Again, to just kind of help with selling that this is a less refined manufactured piece of robot tech here. Can define those lines. Okay, so like maybe here comes across and connects down in there. Kind of leave that way. So now I can go through and refine my piece. All right. So we have ourselves a nice little mech spider. And now again, I'm going to go around and thicken the edges up on it just so it sticks out a little bit more. Okay. But if you have stuck around this long and you like these real-time, learn how step by step, my thought processes and stuff, you like what you saw, hey, leave a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and let me know what you want to see more of. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. There are tons of videos on here with different real-time, step-by-step art tutorials. No time-lapsing unless there are few times, unless it's specifically a time-lapse day where I'm just talking about stuff while time-lapsing, or it's like a redundant thing, like it's going to take too much time for me to film. So if I say, hey, I'm just tracing over this with a pen and I speed up the video, then it's pretty self-explanatory that you should just be tracing over your picture with a pen. So nothing too crazy, but usually 9 times out of 10 it is all real time, unless I think the other thing is, and if you've been subscribed for a while, you can probably tell them down in the comments, if anybody who's new, yes, there are times that my camera and audio mess up and I don't really have a choice and I have to kind of time-lapse the process, but that's very few in between. So like I said, if you really like art and you like these step-by-steps to just see the processes that go into things, give it a like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. You can share your work with me. I love seeing everybody's artwork. You can share your work with me on Twitter. I'm just gonna refine these lines in here, but yeah, if you want to see more, just give me a note of what you want to see by just simply telling me, hey, could you make a video on this? And you can ask anyone who's done it. I will make it happen. All right. So other than that, that's gonna do it for our mechs today. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. Until next time, keep sketching, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye.